Hello, and welcome to another episode of Time of Day, the Transatlantic wargaming podcast, brought to you by Break for Assault. I'm Lee Parnell, recording from somewhere in south of England. I'm joined as ever by my co-host Mike over in sunny LA.
Sunny LA. What a beautiful distant memory. We've
I,
gotten
was about to
6 months worth of rain in the last 2 weeks. It's been a nightmare.
I mean, it's been soggy here, but it's more that just constant drizzle we get in the UK rather than just like you say, literally dumping in an ocean on the ground. So try out to us the weather, man. I feel like you're trying to one up my weather.
Uh,
Anyway, so Mike, what are we covering tonight?
okay, so uh since the last episode, Pete put out his yearly look forward, and since it was surprisingly light on detail for most things, but one of the things he did mention was that they were coming out with a new Team Yankee starter, two players, because now we have all this fancy new plastic infantry to go in,
Yep.
and there's going to go on. So I was like, this is a great opportunity, Lee. We can pitch our Team Yankee starters to
Yep.
Battlefront, and then the lawyers got involved and said that was a terrible idea. So I'm like, fine, we'll do an episode on it instead. But if Pete decides that he does want to, please contact us at fez@breakthroughassault.co.uk with any legal complaints,
As always.
as
Yeah, so
always.
so what we know so far about the plastic infantry, so the Soviet infantry has been shown off. This is hard plastic, proper on a sprue, hard plastic, none of the soft plastic malarkey. We've seen the two Soviet sprues, so basically one sprue has enough AK RPGs to do basically the sort of four AK stands, three RPG stands you get in your sort of standard Soviet minimum size company or oversized platoon if you want to go that way. The other sprue has enough anti-tank missiles, grenade launchers, iglas to do all the support weapons. No, sorry, the PKMs are on the first sprue as well, doing the two PKM
Very
teams.
important PKMs.
Yeah. So effectively, three of the first sprue and one of the second sprue would do a full strength Soviet infantry company with all the trimmings.
Mm-hmm.
Now we haven't seen the American sprue yet. All we've seen is the renders, and all we've really seen are their M16, Minimi, and Dragon teams, if I recall correctly. But now there'll be a picture pop up when I do the editing later, which will confirm I'm completely wrong on this. My assumption is it's going to be the same sort of format. So one sprue will have enough M16 saws and dragons, and there might be a second sprue that does the M60s or possibly the dragons as well. M60s, the mortars, the s'mores you need for the other American forces. So a bit more of an assumption on the American side. The Soviet side, we're pretty much sure on. So knowing that, and obviously knowing our Red Dawn and our American forces and all the forces that are in those, you can probably get a fair guess as to what they might do with a starter set. I was talking to Mike, and the nearest equivalent to this is really the Stalingrad set in the Flames of War, which had two medium-sized Soviet companies supported by some T-70s and some 76mm artillery weapons versus two platoons of German grenadiers backed up by Nebs and Pak-38s. I did the maths. I worked out there's about 35 sprues in that box. So consider that it depends how much of a lost leader Battlefront want to sink in this. To my mind, that gives a 35 sprue sort of like to play with on building an army, building a force out of. And interestingly, both those forces are relatively complete formations as well. It's
Mm-hmm.
not like the current Team Yankee starter is nowhere to do a legal force out of what you get in the box. I mean, all the World War II starters have generally been buildable companies, albeit not sometimes not optimized ones, but legal
But legal
formations.
formations,
Yeah.
yes.
So that's a bit more toss up again. Will they do legal formations? Will they just do like some sort of weird thing? I think we're between the two of us, we probably covered a lot of options in how that might field. I feel like mine might be very, very boring as a date compared to what I looked at. So I did look at some really crazy ones.
Oh no.
Um, So quick, I think it's also worth recapping what we get, what the force options could be. So the Americans, you've basically got two mechanized types, the M113 mounted infantry and the Bradley mounted infantry. The actual platoon's relatively the same, but has four minimum stands, up to three Dragon teams mounted in up to four transport vehicles. You then have the
Lee, hold
craziest
on.
stuff. Right.
But there's more than just those two, Lee.
That's
We
what I'm saying.
have
You
the
get now we get into
Marines.
yeah. Then you've got the crazier one, the slightly crazier ones. You've got the light infantry in the form of the 82nd Airborne, which is I'm going to look at the books. I just thought I could remember it, but I can't. It's something like seven. Oh, here we go. Oh, just had it open and flip the page back over like a
We do it
Muppet.
live.
This is right. Yes, all right. This is right. No fancy
It's
editing here.
seven
Seven
Saw
sword.
teams, one dragon, and three Hueys,
Yep. And the option of adding a dragon, two M60s, and a mortar,
and another Huey.
and another Huey. And obviously, all the Huey and the infantry potentially will be all plastic, so I'm not going to dismiss it. The other option is the really crazy one, and the one I'd really love to see, but it will never happen. The
Right.
light motor infantry platoon, which is
Oh,
six saw teams, an M60 team, three dragon teams, and 10 Humvees per platoon.
yeah.
Now, if they
That's
put that in a
that's
box, I'd
it's
be
far too
bonanza.
much plastic.
That's far
Far
too
too
much
much
better.
plastic. Battlefront will
Yeah.
never go for that.
And the final option is, like I say, the US Marines, which are a bit like potentially a bit, if you dismiss the AAVP7s, because obviously it's no plastic model, it's a resin, there's probably going to be an all plastic box. They can go in Hueys, though, and they have nine saw teams, which two of which can be swapped for M60s,
Hmm.
two dragons, sorry, up to two dragons, up to one mortar, and up to two small teams, and never leave home without the small teams because those things are horrendous. You can shoot helicopters with them. It's crazy.
It's the only thing. It's the whole reason you run the Marines is so you get those smalls. They are shockingly good.
Basically, Carl Gustavs. But yeah.
Oh, with
So
a
that's the
much cooler
American.
name. Small.
Oh,
Small.
what's it? Oh, I try and remember what is it? Material anti. I can't remember what it stands for. I thought I did. I thought I did, but obviously not. Soviets are all basically going to be variations of a theme in that all the mech and motor infantry are basically four AKs and three RPGs. And then you add multiples of three AKs, three RPGs to go up to or medium and top strength one. Um, Everyone has the option of a grenade launcher. Everyone, if over the small minimum size one, has two PKMs. Everyone has option of Igla, and then if you're the BTR mounted infantry or the Afghansti, you have the option of two anti-tank teams as well. They're a bit more. There's not really nothing really radical. It depends what you're being carried around. If you're on foot with Heinz backing you up, or in a BTR or in a BMP, but you've got BMP one, BMP two, BMP three, BTR 60, and obviously the Hind transported infantry in the Afghanistan. VDV potentially, but obviously these models are very much your standard Soviet infantry, whereas the VDV have got their nice cool metal. So I'm going
Right,
to
their
dismiss the
special
VDV.
metal with
Yeah,
their, it, and also they've done a big box VDV box, which makes me go like, probably not going to stick that in the
probably
starter.
not.
Not with the really nice metal miniature in the box. I can't get any more, and I desperately want.
I'm hoping they re-release it even without the metals, but yes, it's the metal special bits. But yeah, so that's sort of so there you are. That is the bricks we have to build our cool Lego set of a plastic kit. So I think from here we'll just sort of bounce off our ideas and see what's practical and what's not. So Mike, do you want to lead us off with one of yours that you've been
Sure, I I couldn't actually. So I came up with two ideas. I came up with the starter box I'd want to see, and is
yeah.
like themed and a little more correct. And then I came up with a starter box that I think Battlefront will probably put out.
Is it legal?
No,
Which is what which is exactly why it's on the Battlefront about. Yes.
but I do have some good justifications for that particular one.
Fair
So do
enough.
you want to hear about my pie in the sky, or do you want to hear my realistic one, Lee?
Let's work up to the pie in the sky. Let's start
Okay.
sedate. Let's go realistic.
Okay, let's go realistic. Okay. So let me just go ahead and share screen. Right. So here is my Soviet half of this box.
Okay,
I have four T-80s, a medium-sized BMP-2 company, and two BMP-3s.
nice.
Just in the ballpark of 50 points. You get a little bit of expandability by putting missiles on the T-80s and RPG-7s on all the infantry. But like this is just in the hopefully we can convince Battlefront to sell this for $65 idea.
Yeah,
It's a lot of BMPs, sure. And you can build
it
them as
is.
ones and twos,
Mhm.
but four T-80s and the BMP-3s. Now you might notice that this lines up really nicely with the BMP, or not the BMP, the T-80 shock box.
Yep.
So
Yeah, I
my
can see.
idea
I can
for
see. Yeah.
the one that Battlefront would probably sell on the lower end is you buy this, you get a taste of the game with enough of the pieces, and then the next obvious step is you just buy the full faction starter box. So if you combine this with the T-80 shock company, you don't have to run them as shock company anymore. You can run them as regular T-80s. You'll get Heinz, you'll get Frogfoots, if I remember the box correctly. You also
Mhm.
get two more BMP-3s. So now, full force strength. I fixed the two BMPs with this starter box, Lee. This is my master plan. Is I've fixed a big problem I had with the T-80 box with the starter.
Yeah, nice. I like it. And also, just doing a just quickly working out. That's about 18 sprues. That's a good. That's a good chunk of what we'd
Good,
be looking at.
pretty solid. I mean,
Mhm.
obviously the way with how I made them roughly points equivalent.
Okay,
So the
so let's keep
plastic
it
is
in
going to
mind.
lead a little heavier on the Soviet side because, well, nine BMPs.
Yeah,
Sorry,
that's. Let's
but
face it. The Soviet stuff generally outnumbers the NATO
right,
stuff.
right.
And
This
look at
this
your
is
current
insane.
box and that.
So
Yeah.
then, jumping over to the American side, and I'm sure you can probably guess, is the formation that I aped was a Bradley mech combat team to lean a little more on the infantry, but a Bradley HQ, a full Bradley platoon, three Abrams. In this one, I pointed them as IPs just to
Balance
you
points
know
up. Yep.
balance the points up, and then like an extra two Bradleys as a scout section.
Hmm.
Now you obviously combine this with the armored cav box, and
Yep.
you've got a really good chunky armored cav. Uh, why did I decide to do this as out of the Bradley mech combat team instead? Well, mostly because uh, I think I wanted people to understand that this box was supposed to show off the infantry, and I didn't want to throw in another weird like, okay, here's four Abrams. Like four Abrams is too many Abrams.
Hmm.
Saying this, you'll have like seven of them if you combine the boxes, but then this and the dedicated American starter gives you seven Abrams tanks, and thus you can run a proper Abrams battalion if that's what you want. You can do the armored cav. You can take all those extra Bradleys, buy a little blister of infantry with with the scout sections and whatnot, and turn this into a fuller Bradley mech combat team. It might seem a little unbalanced because three IPs and four T-80s and a couple BMPs, but like there's enough toes on these Bradleys that I think would make it a problem. But then the Bradleys also need to be concerned about the BMPs, and it kind of like rock paper scissors balances out more or less.
The dynamic's good. I like it. I like the dynamic of it.
So this is my idea of probably something close to what Battlefield will give us. They're still not technically legal formations, but I think that's a little harder to pull off with Team Yankee than it is with Flames because, well, all the infantry needs to be mounted.
Yeah. There
So
is no
the IFVs and the APCs like eat up points or eat up
absolutely.
sprue slots.
Yeah. in both the American and the German Soviet books, there's not really a way of doing infantry. It doesn't have, a transport of some sort. Even the Afghanistan, you have the mandatory hind boxes and that kind of thing. It's very hard. If you're looking at West Germans, you can do stuff like Gebirgsjäger and Fallschirmjäger. Don't have to have any transports. But yeah, you don't have it option the Americans and Soviets, nor should you really. I mean, there's like Camp Mountain or something like that. But yeah, I like it. I mean, that's like I said,
But
I could see that being a realistic box. Sprue count is more or less on par, let's say, the Stalingrad box.
Mhm.
So I think, that doesn't seem like unreasonable for what they could do. And, as a semi-lost lead, probably it's not much of a lost lead with plastics, but certainly it's something you can see for a starter set. And like you say, I like the way you may complement the actual starter sets, the actual army
right.
boxes as well.
So this is like, it's a little on the smaller end as far as the number of plastic goes, but like that should help Battlefront justify keeping it at a loss lead 65, 70-ish US.
Hmm.
There's easy expansion routes. Uh, you don't the two BMP3s fix the two BMP3s that you get in the T80 box. Who cares about getting like a couple extra Bradleys? You're running them in twos because you have so many more Bradley recon slots,
Yeah,
two Bradley recon slots in the armored cav formation. And you could also backport those other Bradleys and buy another blister of infantry to turn all those scout Bradleys into another Bradley mech platoon. So I think this is, points wise, I'm only a handful of points off. They're not technically legal formations, but
hmm
I think this is my realistic guess of kind of what Battlefront will put out, because what's the point of playing Team Yankee if you're not putting in the super tanks? I mean, let's be real here. We've got T80s, we have Abrams. You can build them as the insane M1A1s and the HCs. But for the recommended points on box, you can get away with this. And if you want BMP ones, you can turn those 9 BMP twos into BMP ones, whatever floats your boat.
yeah.
But
Similarly, you can up armor the Bradleys. Actually, you probably do it. Gets you closer to the point value of the Soviet component as well. Because
okay,
you got
hold
the
on. Let me
Soviet
just.
component is 50, was it 53 as
We're
Soviets?
doing this live. I'm checking it out. Oh,
It's like
it's
basically an
a
extra point.
single point.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So hold on. I'm making modifications to this list as we speak. We're fixing this live. Uh, all right.
Oh,
Now with M2 Bradleys,
hmm.
we're the
Yeah,
Americans are only a single point behind, and we've achieved balance.
yeah. I think yeah, I think what does upgrading to Dragon 2 do it? But I think that's
I don't
plus
know.
two
And you
points.
know what? The front armor makes them a little safe, gives them a decent chance against all the auto cannons from the BMPs. So that probably balances this out just a little bit better too. So
Yeah, yeah, that's cool. I like it. Yeah,
all right.
so I'm going to apologize here because I did all mine on paper and I can't find the papers and I have to do this from memory. But
Uh,
during a fairly boring meeting, I was trying to work out what you could do with an all infantry box. I'll be infantry and IFVs. And so I worked at the points of like the BTR, the BMP1, BMP2, BMP3. I found something that gets relatively close. And that was to have a Soviet force of a HQ in the BMP3
mm-hmm.
and two minimum sized companies in BMP3s. And that was more or less the same points as an American component of a HQ Bradley, two platoons of Bradleys with infantry. And so basically you got infantry versus infantry. I thought that works quite nicely because the BMP three's got a fairly good missile attack. It's sort of on par with the tow attack of the Bradley. You got low velocity guns, and it all seemed like it could be something that could work. And you could potentially even throw in the special weapons brew for the Soviets, just one of them, because then you could field all those Soviets as one medium-sized company with special weapons.
Gasp! Who would have thought of this being such a good idea? This sheer brilliance.
I know.
Amazing.
I think I got enough sprue count left over. If I wanted to, you could drop in like say a platoon of tanks or something just to round it out. So yeah, that's why I came up with this. But I, I feel it's too practical. There's no two tank units. There's no sort of slightly illegal formation. I feel like yours is certainly more grounded in that aspect. In that you've captured all the quintessential Battlefront starter set
Well, yeah,
features.
I just envisioned myself on a boat, and I'm like, how can I make this just slightly suboptimal so people have to buy more kits?
It's going to be interesting. This is like diversion before we go to your blue sky one.
Oh,
It's going to be interesting because how they package this as a thing to sell. Are they going to do it for example, the Soviet box? Are they going to do it as a mid-sized company to be slightly annoying? Or are they actually going to do it as a full, you get enough things to do a full-size Soviet, three platoon, HQ, and special weapons, which is about 4 sprues off the top of my head for a box. That doesn't seem unreasonable when you can say you get like 5 sprues in a tank box generally.
I
And
mean,
the Americans are slightly trickier in some ways. So, to build, if you just go do this for a mech company, you're going to probably need 2 sprues at most, if depending how they fit that sprue in. It gets slightly more awkward when we want to start doing stuff like the Marines or the 82nd with their bigger platoons, or even, well, certainly the Ninth motor high tech with their weird. So, do you package for those? Or do you package for the mech, but then have one special weapon sprue in there? So I'm really interested to see how they do the American one because that lends itself less to a really convenient boxing.
if I had to guess, they're packaging with the mech platoon in mind because that's kind of the default
Hmm.
platoon. Like that's the platoon that you can stick into other formations.
Yeah,
Is one of the mech platoons. If I hold on a second, let me just take a quick peek here. If I'm looking at like an M1 Abrams combat team, I can stick a Bradley mech platoon or a 113 mech platoon in there. If I'm looking,
yeah.
and that'll go for all that. In the armored cav troop, uh oh, you can add a Huey platoon. Actually, you don't get to add a mech platoon. That's a little interesting.
Yeah, in the cav, yeah, it's
Mhm.
all Hugh mounted air cav sort of air mobile units.
Right, right. So I don't know. It's the one you can stick in the tank formations. Team
Yeah.
Yankee is a tank heavy game. It's just the
Mhm.
way it is.
Yeah, I did try and start working out an Afghanistan versus 82nd box, just to be
Oh,
completely crazy
they're
and have
never
like
gonna
a.
give us that many helicopters in a single box. I
I mean, a
well, hold
spruce,
on.
as I was trying to say, a sprue's a sprue, but then you have all the flight stand stuff in there.
Yes, but
Yeah.
then I also remembered the Nam Air Cav box, which is just a bunch of helicopters and like
Hmm.
3 stands of infantry.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah, that freestanding me. Yeah, because it's the HQ, isn't it, for the of
Yeah,
the and
one of these days we're gonna go over the Nom starters. I think we've been I personally have been like, let's hold off until the finally release. That I'm still convinced is happening soon. Uh, but yeah, just that's interesting. It's solid. It does lean into the Stalingrad starter box vibe, but I don't think Battlefront's gonna do it because where's your incomplete formation? Where are your two units? I
yeah,
know Lee just made this joke, but still, it's too easy sometimes. We look at so many of these starter boxes, guys. But as a guy who bought that Stalingrad thing, is I'm like, yeah, I want a lot of infant. Like, here's all the infantry I'm ever gonna need for these two armies. Like,
yeah,
okay, I have the wrong. I have regular grenadiers instead of panzer grenadiers, and the sprues are slightly different. It's 15 mils, guys. I
yeah. No
I
one's going to do machine gun count.
well, and if you do run away from those people, you don't need those people in your life.
I was trying to think, was a Clash of Steel box infantry
Clash of
heavy?
Steel, no, Clash of Steel was
Oh, four
such a
detachments. So
hodgepodge of
yeah,
tanks.
yeah. German camp group, so tank HQ, one tank platoon
Hmm.
infantry. Soviet four detachments, so tank HQ, one platoon, one company of infantry, and a tank HQ. And you don't really have that, unfortunately. Like West Germans do with the camp groups and that kind of thing.
Hmm.
But they're only people who have that kind of way of doing that kind of force in Team Yankee. But like I say, or you like say you do what you did, and like say you go with a special for the box formation, like about a combat team style box, as it were, like you said.
Yeah, it's Bannon's Boys and Yuri's Wolves for the third time.
How many times can I buy the same box?
How many times can we slap the same name on different boxes? Uh,
Well, it's going to get confusing. You have a Clash of Steel starter for Flames of War, and you have a Clash of Steel game soon. There's been two different
oh
Stalingrad
my,
boxes,
right.
so it's like, yeah,
And they did two El Alameins, but then they realized that, so they renamed one Kasserine.
mm-hmm. And one to Brook, yeah.
Or Tobruk, that's it. It's Tobruk, not Kasserine.
I made it completely
Kasserine's the main one.
nonsensical. Yeah, none of these tanks are actually out to Brook yet. Dear. Right, so
Uh,
anyway, your blue sky list.
okay. So this is shockingly around the same number of points,
Okay.
but I like to think that the quality of stuff or the amount of stuff. So we'll start with the American side this time around.
Oh,
So I
okay.
have a legal 113 mech combat team. So HQ, two full platoons, three IP Abrams because they're just point and statistically way easier to balance.
Yep.
Some mortars to stick in, a little more fun support, a couple ITOs
Mm-hmm.
with the fun hammerheads, and a Humvee scout section. So my idea for this is like let's add a little bit more of the flair, the support stuff. Obviously, the sprue count is quite a bit higher than the other way
Yeah, like
with the
25, I
Bradleys,
think.
right? And I was like, you know what? We'll throw in the Humvee section because if you're smart, you can take one Humvee scout section and build it as a scout section and build it as AA and build it as
Mm-hmm.
a fire support thing. So like that, the Humvee kit is a really good kit to throw in because well, it can do a lot of things. The ITO box can literally build the anti-tank platoons and the scout ones if you want it that way. Or I think the mortars are also in the same box. So just it's a lot of 113s, a few Humvees. This is like my like mid early to mid 80s kind of concept going on here. So we have some early Abrams. We've got mostly dudes in 113s with dragons. We've got a couple, old ITO platforms.
Mm-hmm.
And to go up against these boys, uh,
It feels very able Archer. Yep.
right. And to go up against them, I have a T-64 battalion.
Oh, okay.
So I have 7 T-64s and again a mid-size BMP-2 formation or company because well the mid-size is really good because you can run it as a mid-size, you can break it down into two smalls, you can take that ninth BMP and make it your HQ. So it's the right model breakdown of very incredibly useful to have because you can do a bunch of things with it.
Yep.
And then a couple BRDMs to give us a recon option, a spearhead, and you know you can build them as spandrels, you can build them as gaskins. Again, super flexible kit, very good. Uh, I would in my pie in the sky, Battlefront also throws in the BV upgrade sprues for these T-64s, even though they won't. But this is my pie in the sky, so I get to pretend that they will.
Dear Battlefront, please sell that BV upgrade sprue separately,
Please sell
please.
sprue independently so I can at least glue them on the holes of my already built 64s and just be like, yeah, we just slapped era blocks on it and called it a day. Like that sounds like the Soviets to me.
Yep. I mean, it's just like I don't care if you charge a premium. Just put it on special order. I will buy some. I got some unassembled T-64s. I really want to build up as
I also
BVs.
have unassembled T-64s
Mhm.
from the World War III starter,
I
ironically
know.
enough.
That's why. Yeah, that's where
Yeah.
mine are from.
So here, the Americans have to play a touch more defensive, but like you've got a bunch of dragons, you've got, four toes, you've got, some mortars to help suppress the giant blob of Soviet infantry. And the
Yeah.
Soviets are really like just leaning into like having the tanks and the BMPs do a lot of the work. And like this is I wouldn't say Checkpoint Charlie because again, like early-ish '80s, where this is kind of like where we accelerate the Team
Mhm.
Yankee timeline even more than it's already accelerated. Where it's like, or here's just a backline part of the conflict where like here's some second line units, here's some dudes in 113s because there's not enough Bradleys to go around. Here's some 64s
Mm.
because well, we made 30 million of them. Like let's just throw them out there.
And
I
those,
know
I
they
mean,
didn't make
if
30 million 64, but
yeah,
whatever.
the early 80s, the T-64 is still, the top end tank for the Soviets. I mean, the
Mm-hmm.
T-80, because it's not a T-80U, it's only about the same as a T-64. It's just got a jet engine, so it's so
Right, right.
for an early 80s force, the T-64 is still your top end tank. And like I
Because
say,
I
and the M1's just appearing. I mean,
mm-hmm.
probably more the M1 than the IP M1. But I like it. I
Right,
like it as in
but
like an
points
early 80s.
balancing needs to happen here. Like we
Sure,
gotta
sure.
give the Americans like a little something something. So again, like
Or
lots
do
of
you agree?
toes,
Yeah.
some mortars, good tanks, lots of dragons. These are standard 64, so those dragons are still a threat if you are not careful. And
Hmm.
I think this could be a pretty fun box to just
I
open
like
up and
it.
play.
I'd definitely buy this
But
box.
the sprue count is way too high, and I don't think Battlefront will go for it.
I
Which
think
is
I think I think that if you could do that, they're more likely to cut that BMP company down to a small,
probably,
probably the BRDMs, and then drop their mortars and Humvees from the American side.
yeah, you know what? That would, but I wanted to stay. Also, I wanted to stay around the 50 point ish mark. You
Understood?
know,
Yep.
49, 52. Again, a couple
Yeah.
points off, close enough for a starter game. Because you cut that stuff and like we are just bleeding a few more points, but like how many points is not enough points to get the feel of Team Yankee going on here? And
I mean, well, that's it. I mean, a 50 points a good intro game.
mm-hmm.
I've done that quite a few times doing intros with people, 50 or 60 points. I mean, 30 the list I came up with both came up to about 30 points. I think the Soviet force was a little down, 29-ish. But again, being two platoons like HQ with the tanks is something you can learn the game with. You got the interaction. The only thing I haven't really got is a dedicated tank who are using IFVs as standing tanks, which, IFVs are not tanks.
No,
They look like
no,
tanks, but they're not
they
tanks.
look like tanks, they shoot like tanks, but they do not live like tanks. They explode like infantry.
Even the up armed ones are still not
Even
that
the up
armored.
armored ones. This is why you were like, oh yeah, you can just up armor all those Bradleys. The points can I'm like, oh yeah, whoever up armors Bradleys, they're terrible. It's a waste of a point.
I mean, you can start doing stuff like assaulting infantry because you're was it a Plecamus, your your side armor 13 versus well, that ignores laws and RPG 18s, but obviously and standard RPG
I'd like
7s you have
to,
a save against.
yes, but
BRs would be more
there's
tricky, but
there's a lot of RPG sevens in every Soviet formation.
oh yeah,
Like
you
it's like
you
half RPGs. You don't want to go into those.
no, you're definitely starting to try and buck statistics if you try and do this, but
Yeah.
yes.
So this is my like bigger box, but like Battlefront could also just do this and sell it for $100. If
And
if they
I
if
mean,
they
I've
really
got
upped the price on it, they could probably get away with this. But
I mean,
I think my first choice
some
gets
saddos will go and spend like, about 130 quid on like Games Workshop. That's not going to work, is it? Games
it
Workshop box. So,
definitely does not. This is I'm sorry, Lee. The spyware Fez and Duncan have installed on our machines to make sure that we don't stray off topic too badly. Refuses to let you show GW product on this Battlefront show.
what if it works? Let's stress out. Let's just see if
Hold on.
would it work with BattleTech?
Let me just zoom in here.
Let's see
Oh, you
about
see,
BattleTech kind of. No, there
that's
it goes.
that's a shame. That's a good game. I love that game.
I enjoy BattleTech.
It's my
I
favorite
enjoy it
game. No one ever
immensely.
wants to play with me, but I have so much BattleTech.
Yeah, I got the same issue. I think we did the death back in the early 2000s. It's just trying to get everyone to go, hey, remember how good time we had BattleTech? Let's do it
Oh. But yeah, I think we've presented three good and two feasible options
again.
because like it's hard when it for all the flack that I have given Battlefront on some of these starter boxes, sitting here, I'm like, okay, it is kind of hard to be like, how do I balance cost and points and like giving a taste of the game? It's
Mhm.
hard. It's
It
hard.
is. But I mean, just an example. So recently I went to a Team Yankee tournament. I say recently, it was last month. Up at High Wycombe, the Tabletop Republic Team Yankee tournament. And I didn't play him. He was on the table next to me. But one chap had turned up, come down all the way from Wales, which, for American distance is like nothing, but for UK distance and try to wind your way through the various M roads around here, it's quite far to get from Wales to High Wycombe. And he'd just been in the game 2 weeks and he was using the British starter set as the core of his force. And
Oh
he had
no.
there were two tank units, and it was eye-opening for him. I was like, I mean, be fair, he got stuck in. He was using he was using this very much opportunity to learn the rules and everything. But yeah, it was just like, of all the starters to choose, that was the one you chose.
That's again like my first real experience playing Team Yankee was buying the Soviet shock thing, and I was putting all that stuff together, and people were like, "We'll loan you." No, no, Mike, because I've been playing Flames of War for a couple years at this point, and my play group was like, "No, no, we'll loan you an arm." It's like, "No, no, no, I have models now. I'm gonna play this." Uh, and I won that tournament. However, it was our end of year, like, we are not playing the game for real tournament. It's the only tournament I've ever won, ironically. Uh, but like we had a list of like, objectives, and one of them was assault infantry with tanks, and then another one was assault infantry with the worst tanks in the game, like 55s and M60s, and then assault infantry with the best tanks, the M1A ones and the T80s, and then Leopard A2. So basically, I just kamikaze just kept driving T80s into infantry, killing a stand or two. Then a break off happens, and I would do it again. So I was just racking up points and points and points and points, losing every single game. I lost every single game. I died like a dog repeatedly, but I won the tournament because the point wasn't actually winning games. It's the only tournament I've ever won in Team Yankee or in Flames.
See, I had the thing. I took T80s, and my first game was versus Luke, who was one of the crawly guys. So I play him fairly often. And I assaulted his infantry with T80s, British infantry. Managed to get through the cargo staffs, fishing for ones, and I would have won the game if I could have passed the counter attack with a CO reroll. I didn't. Because I didn't, then Luke won the game because he was also on my objective on the other side. It was going to be who could finish their turn first on the objective, and right the worst possible time. 4+ counter attack with a reroll just didn't come.
Oof.
But yes, yeah. So that's yeah. So hopefully, I have no idea when they intend to drop this Team Yankee release set. There's been no real indication on the actual timing. It's just like we're halfway through February almost, and we haven't really had a new release this year.
No, I mean, well, that's not truly. Hold on, hold
I
on.
mean, I'm almost getting to sort of the old meme of a do something, poke it with a stick. Battlefront. I'm gonna
Lee,
do something
Battlefront
like
has
later.
done something. Behold, containers.
I mean, and I do like the containers, but that's
The
not
the
quite
damage
scratching the
containers are
itch.
cool. I like I
That's brilliant. I love that one, the one that's been blown apart, the big hole in it.
yeah,
It's
it's
fantastic.
this one very good. I like how they're just kind of banged up. You got the
Yeah.
20s, the 40s. They're selling trees again. Nature
Mhm.
is healing. Battlefront is selling trees again. Uh,
Yeah.
but yeah, like it's been quiet from Battlefront, which is kind of why we decided we could get away with taking this liberty of being like, we're gonna make our own starter boxes. Yeah, recent releases. I'm just gonna close this. I'm gonna close this. I'm making myself sad.
But I mean, it's like, I mean, Clash of Steel is coming out at some point, which I'm not overly fussed about. But my God, at this point, maybe this is Battlefront's idea. Battlefront, like it's like
It's gonna
Stick
make us
Devil.
so bored and so
Deprive us
desperate
anything.
for.
When Clash of Steel comes out, we're just so desperate to stick some sort of release into our veins. Goes, yeah, yeah, give me those torches, give me that mouse. Yeah, I'll take it. I'll take it. Oh God, yeah. But that's the plan. That's the plan. They're trying to wear us down. Battle of the Wheels. What should crack first? Lee's desire not to play with fictional tanks, or Lee's desire to have something new to talk about.
I'm just saying, if those Clash of Steel starters don't look bad at all, if you ignore the hold on.
So less so the American Soviet one, but the British German one, I think it's a fairly compelling starter. I mean, you couldn't
Yeah,
use all of it for British, but you got Centurions in there. Great, that'll go for my Foreign army.
yeah.
Or you can build them up for Team Yankee. They got that sprue's got all the bits you need in there.
So I'm
Obviously,
just
comets. You can put
right.
it
I'm
up.
just clicking through the video very quickly, and they announced,
Mhm.
they said late war Leviathans, uh, the D-Day, the old V2 D-Day boxes, which we will do an episode on.
Yeah.
Those four, comparing them to their modern counterparts.
I've
Once
heard
those
I've
get a
heard
little closer
rumors.
to, saying that stuff, we'll obviously talk about these specific ones at the same time. Probably do that all in one episode.
Yeah. Yeah, I've heard rumors that the D-Day boxes might be out as soon as March. But I'm not sure if that's someone's wishful thinking or getting bits ready for our D-Day games in June. But yeah.
Sorry, earthquake.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because that noise on my phone, like, what is that? And it was just like, you're having an earthquake, and I'm like, I'm having a one, and then everything started shaking. Get the alerts like right before everything kind of goes to hell. But yeah,
See, here I am, nice boring UK. Ground stays nice and static. Rain just comes down,
yeah.
constant but slow. We really are the most boring country, but in a
But
good
yeah,
way.
I'm looking at these, and hold on a second. Let me screen share again. Uh, but yeah, so we've got the American ones here, the
Yeah. So
Americans and Soviets, and this is fine. I mean, like some IS-3s, those were real tanks, right?
yeah. So in the foreground you got the IS. That's an early 54 T-54, very early T-54.
Mhm.
You could. So I think they had a few export sales. You could probably get away with using them as a T-54 for stuff like Foan. I think the Egyptians might have had some early T-54s. But that's basically what the Soviets eventually would do is fill in the rest of the turret to make their full hemisphere.
Mhm.
But that's the same gun. Obviously, the ISUs in the background are the same ISUs, just got a longer gun on it. The
Right.
IS-3s are okay. I mean, IS-3 is definitely Foan.
Yep.
Um,
I think it's
not
Nam as well, isn't it? Don't the NVA get? No, wait, no. I'm thinking
No, I
the
don't think they
Ironclad
got
threes,
T.
which are
They
actually
have
PT-76s.
PT-76s,
Yes.
T-34s, and T-54s.
Right. Right.
But yeah, but I mean the IS-3s will do Foan, ISUs will do Flames, T-54s could probably do Foan.
Mm-hmm.
The American side's a bit harder because you've got two M18s, which is a bit, there's no way of expanding that.
I mean, but they're M18s, and that's always points. I am a Hellcat aficionado and an appreciator. So
Yeah. And then the rest of it is all fictional tanks. You got the so got the
yeah,
it's not the
Pershing's
M.
definitely not a real tank.
That's not a Pershing. That's the 105 arm
Are these not super Pershings?
T29.
Oh my god.
No, I mean look at you see by the size of the look how far back the commander hatch is. It's no, it's the
Oh yeah, you're right.
one of
That
what's the
hatch is
105
all wrong.
millimeter. I'm trying to
God,
remember.
this is hideous. This is
I'm going to say it's a
terrible.
T29. I think I'm wrong. I think the ones at the back, they're flat Panzers are
I mean,
T29s.
murder turtles. I love them.
It's
They're
a cool,
they're
it's a cool
terrible
looking thing.
tanks. It looks,
Yeah,
the one picture everyone's seen of them on screen now is very impressive, but it's a terrible idea.
yeah.
It's the Stug but bigger and dumber.
I mean, it's basically anti-fortifications. It was designed for
Yeah.
cracking through the Siegfried line. They almost sent it to Okinawa for doing exactly the same thing, dealing with
Right.
pillboxes and that kind of thing.
And we got the German stuff, and like the the mouse aside, like that's all
Yeah,
real German stuff.
it is indeed. Yeah.
The
I mean,
Tigers, Tiger 2s, some flat Panzers,
I
this
mean, that's a Tiger training, this chunk of a Tiger training company right there. Um, the Black Panther is a very versatile kit, you know, because it will do your Panzer IV through to Panzer 470.
Yeah.
That's on the British side, Comets,
Comets,
Centurions. That's all good.
Centurions. Uh,
Um,
what?
the Tortoise will make a really good model of the
Right.
Kukubri range one, all battered up with big holes in it from chieftains plunking away at the DU rounds. No, I mean Duncan is a big fan of Tortoise, so I can see him being all over it. Maybe I'll give him mine.
Yeah.
I
But
think
yeah,
the
they're
mouse looks kind of cool. It's just, I've never been a big fan of the mouse. It clearly looks straight away like something that's maybe like a test bed rather than an actual proper tank. E100 later actually looks like a tank. I can get behind, but
because this is why I hate the mouse. It
Mhm.
does not look like a tank. It looks like a child's drawing of a tank, which is why that urban legend of Hitler designed it himself sticks around so well because it looks awful.
It's like they saw a
Like,
picture of a tog too, and thought, you know what? We could do better than that.
don't you
And to be
dare
fair, they
besmirch
do
my
better than that.
beautiful Tog 2 asterisk.
Turn the mouse turret the other way. I bet you, so it's facing backwards. I bet you can start look straight away like they took a big leaf from the book of the Tog.
But yeah,
I want my land naval battles. Damn it!
so German equipment, very striking, very good looking tanks, except the mouse. The mouse is hideous. Do not run a
Yeah,
mouse. Uh,
but yeah. So it's gonna be interesting to see the Clash of Steel. I'm curious to see how its dynamic missions, tank-based focus looks. I mean, I'm not expecting it to blow me away, but I'll give it a fair shot.
I mean, as somebody who has played other games where they're like, and then just draw cards to determine the mission, because
Mhm.
I don't know if you ever played Star Wars Legion, but it had a whole drafting mechanic.
Okay.
Maybe not a drafting mechanic, but like you laid out multiple cards for the mission, for the deployment, for like the special things, and like you and your opponent took turns like denying some, and you had them in a row. So it's just like whatever you would kill cards, basically turn them face down until you kind of between the two of you, like and a bit of randomness because you had more cards than you'd lay out would determine like what the mission is and how that game goes out. And obviously, James Workshop has put out cards are the only format now in the Warhamster 40 million. Uh, and I think that's a better way of playing. To be honest, the randomness is good. Chaos is good.
Mhm.
All those people who want like perfect balance and symmetry should go play chess. Chaos is what makes this game fun.
Yeah,
So I'm willing to give Clash of Steel a fair shake.
absolutely. I can see them getting one of that British and German starter and just playing around with it and see how it goes.
I can't see myself getting either because it's either stuff I already own or stuff I have no interest in owning. Because I don't need any more Tiger 2s. I have three of them. That's all you ever need. I have enough Tiger 1s to run Hummel. I have half dozen flat panzers. I'm like, that's all good. Uh, and I have a full company's worth of Hellcats. So I'm like, the none of these boxes kind of ticket for me, but that doesn't mean they're not halfway decent places to get started. The Pacific stuff is actually like really interesting. I want to see. Show me the Aussies. Show them to me. Battlefront. Sorry about that aftershock.
That's right, she said.
We've had first earthquake, but what about second earthquake? But yeah, so far Battlefront's been quiet and they didn't announce that much. So maybe we spend more of this year speculating than we thought.
Mhm. I think they've shown everything is coming. That it's going to be they're going to use this year to build stock up and get ready for early war. The big thing was saying early war's been delayed, but it's going to have a lot more plastic than we ever hoped for with early war. So that could be interesting. We shall see. I have to apologize. I just realized I never actually started recording. You're the one recording.
Incredible.
I know.
I'm the
For some
hero.
reason, I'm not even showing an option to record. I'm just looking down here, but for some reason, I got no record option. Oh no, no, I know this is why I minimized. I see. Right, but when I'm in the future, maximize the screen so I can actually see the record button. Thankfully, you're recording, so we
Thank
have got
God.
this.
Thank God I'm trained like a good hamster to start backup
Well,
recordings.
I saw record. I saw the recording light, so I thought, okay, so and
What a
then so
cursed
thankfully,
episode. It was me recording. Yeah, what a cursed episode.
that's right. You're
Uh
doing the editing now.
I'm doing what now?
Oh
I'm
dear. But
more
anyway,
on than usual today. I don't know about doing any editing.
here you go. Hide under your like kitchen table, isn't it? You're doing the earthquake or something.
I sleep through earthquakes all the time. It'll be fine.
Yeah, we all be fine till the big one hits. So then it would not be fine. And
And
I
then being
suppose
under a table's not going to save me, so it's fine.
that's true. It is very
I'm either going to
binary, isn't it?
sleep through it or the entire state falls in the ocean. In that case, I know how to swim. It'll be fine.
Yeah. Get some nice beach estate in Nevada. Yeah.
Wasn't that the plot of a Superman movie? I'm
It was
convinced. I'm
definitely the plot of
convinced.
it was the plot of Superman 2. Anyway, we're meandering. So a short episode this week. Like I say, we are just in a sort of holding pattern. We're going to do probably some sort of ranking next, I think, Mike. We were talking about getting Duncan on doing the aircraft, weren't we?
We were talking about it, but getting Duncan is not easy, it turns out.
He's a man under much demand. Yes, he is. But we'll try and work on that. We'll do some sort of ranking. Maybe we'll have an episode like trying to fix the British starter sets,
That's a lot. That's a lot.
especially the Team Yankee one. Fix the Team Yankee starter set. There you are. That could be a whole episode in itself.
Oh man.
But yeah, as always, people like and subscribe. Please like and subscribe. We need to be we need a fulfillment. Please
I
clap.
am only fueled by YouTube likes. It's the only thing that keeps me making these shows and living. Watch every episode of Time of Day. And remember to comment on whose idea do you think is best
Yeah.
and what you want to see out of the new Team Yankee starters.
Or if
Until
you're
next
coming,
time, stay classy, San Diego.
hello and welcome to another episode of Time of Day for Transatlantic.
I'm not gonna be the blooper this time.